everyone, my name is Sharon Holt, and I'm going to guide you through the results of my DSARI energy audit. So the Energy and Information Administration points out that on average, the U.S. households use 10,399 kilowatt hours per year each, and that leads to about 867 kilowatt hours being used per month per household. I live in a very particular household, an apartment complex with more than 5 units, and that has actually been found by the EIA to consume less energy than other household types. And I live in Minnesota, which actually ranks 34th out of 51 states, including DC, in how much energy we consume. So great job, Minnesota, for being on that lower end. Just to tell you guys, 7 of the 8 items that I measured were constant energy items, and I also included a scale how often I use the items that I measured, from 1 being not really at all to 5 being way too often. Some proof of my existence. That's me. And that is my turtle posing for the picture. He's a good boy. Alright, so the first item I measured was one of our fish tank filters. It's always on, as you can imagine, and it does not have any phantom power because it runs once it's plugged in. It was consistently at a 7.4 watt reading. And then we also have a small lamp we use as a basking light for our turtles. It's also out of 5 because it's on generally from 12 to 18 hours per day. It does not have any phantom power and reads consistently at 42.8 watts. The toaster that I measured, I put at a 2 because I love making toaster strudels, but that doesn't take more than like 3 minutes, and even when I leave it plugged in, there is no phantom power. I read a reading of somewhere between 694 and 715 watts, which I know is kind of vague, I'm sorry. It really kind of just wavered between those two ends without any consistent stopping point, perhaps because of the design of the machine. Then I measured the popcorn setting on the microwave because I just really wanted popcorn. So the microwave's out of 3 because not only is it always plugged in, but I happen to love popcorn. Sometimes I make box ramen in the microwave. So between all those things, it does get used fairly often. The phantom power on the microwave is 0.5 watts when closed and 3 when open, although I'm not really sure you can consider that phantom power since the microwave is technically on. Anyway, when I turned on the popcorn setting, it was at 1600 watts at the start, but actually went down to 1500 watts being measured by the end of the cycle, perhaps to reduce the likelihood that you'll burn your popcorn. Who knows? And then the kind of weird stuff, I say that because I found it kind of weird, maybe it just really wasn't weird at all. So we have 2 rice cookers. I measured the larger one, which has an on and off button, and we don't use it very often. So wouldn't you know it, I was actually really surprised. When it had phantom power, I did not turn it on at that point, but when I had turned it on, there was no difference in the reading, even though turning it on brings it to its keep warm setting. Perhaps it just needs more time to warm up, probably a lot longer than I gave it. And then when I put it on its white rice cooking setting, it stayed consistently at 665 watts. Then the television screen that I measured is at a 5 because it gets left on constantly even when there's nothing running on it, since we use a Roku and we don't have cable. There is no phantom power running on it, but when I turned it on, it was very interesting because the no program running setting, so just a blue screen, measured at 142.1 watts, but it was actually lower when I had a YouTube video running at 135.4 watts. Alright, finally, phone charger and my laptop. So the phone charger being at a 3, since there was actually 3 devices that rely on this charger, is pretty cool because it doesn't have any phantom power, and fun fact, actually caps off at a great 0 once it is done charging the device. And charging my dead Samsung J1, It was at a 6.3 watt, but I will tell you it actually went down as my phone gained more charge. Finally, my laptop, which is a great variable energy item to measure, being at a 5 since it has to stay plugged in or else it dies after like an hour. I started at 1:17 p.m. like 5-6 days ago, and then the next day I stopped at 11:17 p.m. I measured a total of 1,253 kilowatt hours, which rounds out to about 884.47 kilowatt hours per day for my laptop. Some things to consider is that phantom power is probably not as significant, so if you end up leaving your item plugged in for an extra hour or even a day, don't freak out. The second thing is that variable energy items are a little bit tougher to keep track of, but they're also ones that you definitely should because they can guzzle energy. Like, holy cow, my laptop's taking a lot for itself. And finally, if there is maybe some significant difference between your readings and mine, it could simply be because I do live in an apartment. So if you live in a household setting that is just like a regular house, that could explain certain differences. So here's the sources I used, mostly EIA.gov, my best friend, and chooseenergy.com. But if you're looking for something about like the prices that are related to energy consumption, like residential prices, check out electricitylocal.com. Just a good tidbit for you. Special thanks to my boyfriend for taking the photos of my existence. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I hope you had a good time. Thanks. Bye.